welcome to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Day. We're here at Women in Trucking 2022. Over 1,700 people. What are your thoughts so far?
Man, I've been amazed, first of all, by the excitement, the energy, and the positivity that's been going on out here with everyone we've come into contact with. And here we are to start out. We've got these two guys going to jump in here with their incredible positivity and willingness to tell us what's going on.
Yes, we do.
Right?
We have Destin Smith and Joshua Rule. Total Transportation of Mississippi. Is it of Mississippi still, or is it just Total Transportation?
It is of Mississippi, but we're nationwide now. So
not just Mississippi.
But
Total Transportation, y'all were one of the first companies that felt like that took that younger group of drivers and the 18, 19-year-olds. Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, y'all
and
did
stayed
that
inside of Mississippi to run.
That's right.
Am I right about that?
Interstate driving. Y'all did that training program for a long time.
We still have that active.
Oh yeah. And how many participate in that right now?
Right now we have none active because we're just about to shift into the interstate program from the intrastate program. So we're just waiting on our release from that program, and we should be kicking that off anytime as soon as we get that release back.
What are you? And you get wow. That's
it's
going to be.
It's the new Safe Driver program.
It's going to be. And it does that include a secondary driver in the vehicle as well?
Yes.
It does, right?
Yeah,
I read that.
It'll have a full-time trainer. I think they have to have 5 years experience just to be a trainer. No accidents or incidents in the last 2 years to even be a trainer on that program.
Okay, and my second question to that is, they're not a team driver, they're actually a trainer, right?
No, the trainer has to be on duty at all times with that student. So there's not going to be any team driving of any kind with these.
Super single, like, come on.
None.
According to 14 hours,
you know how the guidelines
jump
are.
over the seat and get it
You know
there.
how the guidelines are.
But that doesn't include any driving time, though, just on duty time, right? So
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, so we're here today, and we're gonna talk about the women in trucking, right? What are you seeing at Total Transportation of ways to get more women into our industry?
I think the biggest way to really start is just leveling the playing field, right? I feel like for the good old boy days of wearing a cowboy hat, smoking cigarettes with pointed toe boots, going down the interstates are all but gone, right?
Yes, sir.
And the perception at that point in time, in my opinion, that it was just a male-driven industry, and it's not anymore. And what we're trying to do right now is really market to that, publicize our platform, and creating a safe and enjoyable workplace for all, but most importantly right now, women.
Do you feel like we're, as an industry right now, and maybe not just Total Transport, this is an industry, are we treating them the same? Meaning, are we those that deserve to be promoted, are they getting promoted, or do we have a long way to go before that to happen?
I think right now we're on the right path.
I would agree.
I think the biggest thing is letting everyone know that we are fair, right? And that I think now more than ever, everyone has started to kind of shift their marketing efforts and certain strategies towards women because they realize how important they are to the industry with their stability, their self-awareness, and those other traits that make them, astounding professionals.
I'll tell you that most people don't look at it, but as a driver, as a driver for a long time, this has been one industry that has done a very good job of equal pay for equal work when it came to women in the cab. I mean, it is a by mile basis. You get paid, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter who's behind the wheel rolling it. You get paid by the mile. I think really where we have a long way to go is educating ourselves and other women about how awesome this industry is to work in.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and figuring out what they want, right? Mel Gibson played in this movie a long time ago. Everybody probably remembers it. What women want, right? Some of us are still trying to figure that out to this day, right? But if we can identify like some of their needs, some of their wants, to keep them in the truck, keep them on the road, I think that's where we really see the benefits long term for everyone.
Well, I think where we're being successful is we're trying to listen to the women. What is it that's going to make us successful? Is listening to them, and what do you need from us to make you successful as drivers? Is it more home time? Is it family balance? Is it a trainer that's a woman? What are those things that's going to make this industry available to you for you to come in?
And Josh, and as you say that, I think Isn't that really true that they're teaching us? Isn't that really true for just about every single person that walks in the door now? And it's not just men, that each one of those people that walk in have a different formula for success.
Absolutely.
And we've got to listen to that formula. If we want it to be good and we want them to be successful, we got to figure out how to do their formula, right?
Absolutely.
And how do we go about finding out those formulas is, I guess, really where we're at when we start talking about inclusivity, when we start talking about bringing people in, especially women. How do we get to that formula?
I think the easiest way, from just what I've seen in my department and just conversing with other people in the industry, is asking the right questions. You know, like you said, formula. Everybody has their own recipe for success. You know, and it's not level across the board. But the biggest thing is increase your flexibility, right, with the things you're able to do. Don't just follow a guideline. And we're not talking about safety. I'm just talking about pure hiring standpoints, rate of pay, things like that, opportunities that you can present to a candidate. Be flexible. You know, come up with their happy medium. You know, and figure out what works for them and make it work for you.
But so we're going to the younger group of drivers, right? We're trying to, y'all have a school, you're doing that. We know we have a retiring group of people, drivers that are 55 and older, that are going to exit this industry. We're going out to the younger group. We're saying, hey, come into our industry. You know, young women, young men, come into our industry. But are there any concerns when, you know, we're going to say, hey, welcome to this, come be a driver here? Are all the trucking companies ready for that? Do they have the female trainers ready to go? Do they have a facility for, you know, that's will lit themselves, a trucking company? What are concerns you have when we go to that younger group and bring them into our industry? I'm talking about the infrastructure that we have today on the trucking side.
Well, I can speak for Total, and we do a preference-based training model. So we ask our trainers, what is okay to have on your truck? What gender are you okay with? Do you like a smoker or a non-smoker? And we let them set their preferences, and we do the same thing for our students. And we match strictly based off of those preferences. And if we don't have that preference available, we send them out with a local until we have that available. And they're in a hotel every night. So we're trying to make as an inclusive environment and a comfortable environment as possible for our students and our trainers.
Have you come across any real issues with trying to balance what people want with what, also with some of the legality of, you know, that there are differences there, and that we've got to make sure that we protect those differences with each other? I mean, have we come into those challenges and those barriers, and how do you offset that? How do you deal with those?
I think constant department engaging. Like, so for example, we've taken a huge stance on working with our sales team, right? Knowing what's out there, what's in the pipeline, to have that, you know, I guess in our back pocket for when opportunities present themselves on the phone with candidates. But with what you're saying too, I think it's that constant communication, staying up to speed with what the market's doing and other carriers are doing with their guidelines to help us better compete, right? And I hope that answers your question, but I kind of wanted to hit on what you talked about earlier with some of those challenges with the younger individuals. I think the biggest hurdle there is patience, helping them understand that, like, that first 6 months, a year in this industry is going to be your toughest. It's going to be the hardest on you financially.
Mentorship, right? We've been talking about that throughout our mentorship.
And they're not going to be the CEO week 6, right? They're not going to be in charge of that ship week 6. They've got to understand that's a long process to be a good driver. I mean,
right
it's
now
not.
We're using an apprenticeship program to give them that feeling of progress. So we're combining our training program with an apprenticeship program to give them a model that's going to get them to where they want to go financially and in this industry, to create a model for success that they can see a light at the end of that tunnel. And I think with the younger generation, that's what they want to see. They want to see that progressive growth. They want to see that progressive increase in pay. And if I can lay that out through an apprenticeship program and say, at 6 months, you're going to make this, at a year, you're going to make this, that's going to keep them happier, and it's going to keep them with our company.
Give them a path.
Yeah.
I think, because that's their sense of motivation in a way, right? I mean, we all want to know what's ahead of us, you know? That's the biggest thing.
Let's talk a little technology, because I think technology has something to do with, you know, it treats everybody fair, technology doesn't. I'm talking about an optimizing system, a routing system, as opposed to a human routing a driver. Does Total Transportation, how do you routing your drivers? Is that an optimization? Is that done by people saying, oh, I'm going to put so-and-so on this load, match them on this load? How do you plan your drivers out?
So everything obviously revolves around technology now, but we have several systems that just talk to each other very well, and part of that, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about communicating between departments effectively.
Got it.
And being proactive with things and looking days in advance with our load planning department, with our fuel management team, everyone involved to help us stay ahead of it, because trucking is not just today, it's tomorrow, it's next week, it's next month, it's next year.
Let's talk about tomorrow. Let's talk about where the path and the goals that you've got over there at Total Transportation to be more inclusive and to be more. I know you're working on special projects now. What do you have in the pipeline? What do you have out there that maybe you can reveal here on BCB Live that we really don't know yet? Maybe you got anything out there that this is the big secret breaker right here? Look, we're getting the right on the spot story right here.
Dave's like, he's trying to get serious because when he gets like that, his teeth stay together.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
What do you got for me?
He's trying to get that breaking news moment.
I'm trying to get that breaking news
Here
moment.
first at WIT. No, I mean we just want to continue to grow, right? And I think like we talked about last year, nobody thought about growing really. They didn't think it made sense. This year, it seems like everyone had the opportunities to do so. But the biggest thing for us to keep focusing on and doing right is growing right. Not all growth is good.
Yep.
Only good growth is good.
Well, while it may not be a news breaker, you really want to look at how do you scale. Every company is out there trying to figure out how do you scale and get bigger.
Exactly. What
company out there, and you got a lot of people here at this that are trying to figure it out. But as soon as you get the industry together, your shippers and receivers together, and all your companies together, and work on how do you create that atmosphere for a woman to come in here, that's going to be the key to the growth for this thing. And I know it's a women in trucking event, and it sounds corny. It's not breaking news. But if everybody can work together and create that atmosphere, then we're going to win. And that's how you go from, in our case, 22% female drivers to 45% female drivers.
Yeah, and I think it's also hard to, when you say that, we have for a long period of time kept all of our information secret, right? Because we felt like if I told you that how I was being successful over here or anything about me, then you would take that.
We're not just talking company to company. We're talking to what you're saying inside the company, department to department. So we were so bad at sharing information. I think we are getting better, but we've got to continue to work on that.
Well, I think over time, each department just organically built silos, and tearing those down is how you do get that growth. But I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do the rest of this year and next year, though, and that's a fact. We're gonna make trucking cool again. That's what we're gonna do.
You're gonna make sure what?
We're gonna make trucking cool again.
And safety. We're gonna make trucking cool again and safety cool again.
All right, hold on a second. What are we doing to make this thing cool again?
I think getting all of our content out there in the right way, in the right spaces. Okay, every single person is on their phone. I'm walking to this event, walking down the exhibit halls, everybody's on their phone. And it's not just here, it's being, if I'm in a truck stop, I'm at the terminal, on our yard, I mean, everybody's on their phone, so we've got to put that out in front of them and show them that trucking is cool. And
except when they're driving.
Exactly. Stay off your phones when you're driving. No phones in the truck as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just trying to make sure not while we're driving, sir. I mean, I'm just making sure. But you can walk distracted around here if you want to, but don't drive distracted.
Don't drive distracted.
Gotcha.
But just education is the biggest thing that everyone's missed, because it's always been grow, more, but we're missing people. People want to learn. That's the thing. And if we're trying to attract younger drivers to the industry, we've got to show them why trucking is cool.
For sure.
I set the expectation for reality.
I agree. Hold on a second. Question for you, because you guys are, a lot of females in there. We hear it, and we heard it out here earlier. Do the safety numbers that you show, are women safer at your company than the men when it comes to driving?
Yes, they are, and it is relative to different scenarios, of course, whether they're in a dedicated mix or they're over the road fleet, anything like that. So you got to measure it properly, okay? Yeah. But I think the self-awareness and what contributes a lot to it is the work-life balance that we've noticed with our female drivers. They're able to manage that a little bit better, and that produces a lot for them mentally while they're out on the road in the truck, and we've got to really show them why that matters.
When it changes how they can provide for their family. I mean, that's a whole change for a woman when you can go from making $20,000-$30,000 or nothing at the house, and suddenly you can come into this industry and start out at $40,000-$50,000, and you can still get home every other night or every night or once a week or whatever it is that works for your situation. That's life changing for some of these women and their families, and so it gives them the freedom to make changes in their life they might want to make, or whatever their situation is.
You know, I've heard something. You know, we've been talking about mentoring, and we've been talking about training inexperienced drivers. When are we going to, as an industry, realize that as a driver that the training should never be over? And when are we going to start being more proactive and as a group? And I hear this from the women, and they talk about mentoring, and they talk about helping each other through this. And I listen to it, and I'm thinking to myself, once I got out on the road, nobody helped me drive any better, you know, than I did before, because I was the experienced driver, right? So when should training, shouldn't we always try to continue to train and be better at whatever it is we do, including driving?
Yeah, so we have created what we call a driver council. And so we've got a whole group of drivers. We put their information, their emails, their phone numbers, we put all that information out there. And so it's like having a long-term mentor. And you can reach out to, it's a team driver or a dedicated driver, or a female or a male. So we have that system set up. We give it to them when they come in the door. We provide all that information and orientation, and they're there for the long term. So we provide that resource to all of our drivers, and I think that's important to make sure, you know, it's how you learn the systems. When you come into a brand new company, you don't know how dispatch works or any of that stuff. So it gives you a resource to help make money right out the gate. And that's important, because that's how you lose drivers real fast, is not setting them up for success to begin with.
Do you assign a mentor to the driver, or just offer them up one?
So we do have a placement program with that. So for example, if John Smith comes to our orientation class, he's going to be a dedicated driver. We typically will assign him to another dedicated driver that's in our driver council group.
Wow.
because the situational awareness that our veteran driver already has, he can help him deal with some of the daily challenge that he may face. We felt like that's been a better matching process. And same goes for an OTR driver. We'll set he or she up with an OTR driver council member, because they've probably seen and experienced some of the same things that our new driver is experiencing.
Drivers come into orientation, and we spend a little bit of time with them, you know, a day, 2, 3 days, whatever that is you do. We talk about safety. We talk about, you know, probably being on time, processes, procedures. How much time is Total Transportation spending on the health of a driver? We're talking about a group of drivers that were, you know, heck, let's face it, even on this side, we're a little overweight. What are we doing? Are you doing anything?
A little.
Are you finding
Notice
anything?
they use the word a little.
Because we've had the folks here, we see it, it's out there now, spending a little bit more time on the health and fitness, the way they eat, educating them on that. Are you doing anything on that yet?
I can tell you we're not doing enough. We have a couple of things that we do. One being a total talk that's done several times per week by office personnel. Every member of management as well, even up to our president CEO, Craig Savelle, does it as well. But I've tried to talk about health on that as well. Our safety and compliance department take a little bit of that steering when it comes down to CDL renewal processes and things like that, to talk it up. But I don't think we're doing enough. I don't think anybody is.
No, we're not as an industry. I mean, we're not. I tell you where we are. We'll talk about it, and then orientation's over, and then we're ordering pizza or fried chicken, right? I mean, let's eat healthy and everything. All right, we got 2 large pizzas coming.
Yeah, we got pizzas. Everybody go to lunch. We got lunch brought up here.
Is there value in that? And do we as an industry have to help these drivers, you know, and help us, right, inside the orientation, the dispatch, on proper ways or better ways to feed yourself out there on the road?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that we all need to band together in this, and
I agree.
CDLs getting surrendered or being downgraded and things like that are affecting the entire industry. But let's peel that layer back one more time. It's affecting those individuals' homes, their very own table with their family. And I think that it's the continued education piece that we've got to implement and keep doing it. Just like you said, everyone always starts something, right? They always start a diet or start a habit or start something new and then quit. You know, but like, we are some of those people with some things, and those same characteristics that we have, we're letting it affect our drivers. And we need to sharpen that, but also with ourselves first.
Yeah, you said something, and I want to commend you on that, because You said peel that layer back one more time. It's affecting their families. You know, we as an industry, we've got to realize that these drivers out here, they're not drivers. They're just like you and me. You know, we talk. We spend a lot of time talking about that. They have the same dreams. They have their kids. They want to put their kids through college. They have house payments. They have car payments. When we've got to go out there and step out and help them, because what we don't do in making them better, what we don't do in creating success amongst them, it affects their family. When they're late for a delivery, well, when we're late coming into the office, we say this, well, oh man, that traffic was bad. And guess what? We're still getting paid.
That's right.
When they're late because they overslept
Why are you late?
10 minutes, you know,
Yeah,
you overslept 10 minutes, you know, it affects them financially.
I think the industry needs to develop an obligation to help these drivers protect that license. And that includes driver fitness.
Yeah.
That includes how to be safe out there on the road. Because without that license and without that med card, you're not going to go out there and make this money. So I think until the industry develops that obligation that, hey, we've got to take care of these drivers because we're in the driver shortage. I mean, come on, your number one asset. When are we going to, as an industry, take care of it?
Yeah, and Josh, you hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, we constantly complain about not having enough drivers one way or another, right? But we're not doing enough on the health driver fitness side, like you said, to prevent those issues. I bet if you pulled a stat, you probably 25,000 drivers nationwide annually that get their CDLs downgraded.
Absolutely.
Maybe more.
And I'll tell you what we really don't see, and what it's not just downgraded, it's their health cards when they move from that 1 year down to 3 months. Or
carrier too.
Yeah, and then they get it reduced down to 90 days or 30 days because the doctors put them on a probationary period. You know, I mean, hey, if you don't get any better here, I'm only going to see you every 90. I got to see you every 90 days because there's something wrong, and it is. I think it's also the job. I mean, we send them out into the most dangerous working environment in the United States every single day, and we do. I think we try, but I think we don't do enough for them with both mentally, physically, and preparing them for the stress of the environment. I mean, you go to work, you sit at a desk, right?
Yep.
Your opportunity there's probably not gonna be 45,000 people killed in your work environment today.
Nope.
I mean, this year, right?
Right.
But for a truck driver, they have to face that reality every single day.
Right.
And I think that alone has to be stressful, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a worrying fact for everyone involved in the industry if you truly care about these people, you know, because we are the same, just like you said earlier, you know. And I think if we talk about this, the early on stages of a driver history at a company, and we can force things all we want, right? We can issue a meal stipend and say, hey, eat a wrap for lunch or eat a salad or something. Right. But that doesn't work. That model's broken. Yeah. We need this got to start on the front end saying, hey, look, I need you to tell me what you want to eat every single day. What would you eat every day if I paid for it?
Or incentivize it. Yeah,
small,
yeah.
Incentivize it. Right.
But again, that goes back to changing the industry. We can do everything we can, but until we change the industry, other companies, the truck stops, the availability of foods for these drivers, until you go through and change the whole industry, I mean, it's going to have to be an industry-wide change for it truly to be successful. We can do whatever, we can do it every day, and we can live it, and we can breathe it, but if it doesn't emanate throughout the industry, we made a difference for, in our case, a couple thousand drivers.
So how do we do this as an industry? I mean, what are the action items? What are the takeaways? I mean, what are we going to do to honestly take care of these folks? I hear it from you, Dave, right? Destin, I hear it from you, Josh. I hear the passion, the love you have for these drivers. You're going to do all you can to take care of them. But is everybody that works for you, are they doing the same thing? Do they have that same love, passion? When that driver starts working for you, why do they quit? For some reason, we wanted them here, right? For some reason, they were a fit. Then they're perfect or we wouldn't have brought them on. And they're here, and 6 months later, 3 months later, a year later, whatever, they're gone. Turnover 70 to 80%, whatever that is.
Why?
When are we gonna fix that? When are we gonna really step in there and say, you're gonna stay here forever? And I'm not talking about the ones that break safety rule. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the ones that we know, the ones that when they quit, that we say, hey, they sucked anyway. And what do I tell you?
They don't suck till they leave.
Yeah, they never. If they suck, then why didn't we get rid of them? How come they
Why
quit
can't
and then
we-
they suck?
Yeah, why can't they just
What are we going to do? Seriously, when do we, as an industry, because it's not just you, it's not just it's an industry problem. When do we fix this problem?
I think when we start working together, instead of just constantly competing, we have to compete because we have our own goals. We have our own companies to look out for and run and things like that. But I think by like I said earlier, banding together for the same goal.
Yeah.
And now identifying what goal that is, there's several different takeaways from what we could do and fix the industry and help drivers, things like that. But we have to all be on the same page and actually do something about it.
When it starts with conversations.
Vocalize it, exactly.
I mean, you gotta start the conversation.
We're
still at this. This is a great way to start a conversation, but how do we take it just past us four?
Yeah.
You said something.
That's the thing.
I agree.
How do you get more
Yeah.
people involved? You create communities and councils and this, women in trucking.
Yeah.
You can create all these things.
Josh,
But
you said
until
something.
But until you do this with all of it, it didn't. What have you solved?
You said something a minute ago. You said, well, we would just be able to affect our 2,000 drivers. Wouldn't that be awesome if you did affect 2,000 drivers positively and it was your guys that you did it for? Yeah, I'm excited for you to even say that because I think that's where it starts. Yeah, we're talking about changing the industry. It starts with, I think, each and every one of us finding a way to do it differently. And I don't care what it is or what we have to do, but and we've been talking about inclusivity and we've been talking about bringing everybody on, and until we meet these challenges head on, we're going to still have the same issues and the same problems because we haven't done anything any different.
Can I tell you something that I'll tell you that I've learned, from, and it may have just kind of reinforced it being here at Women in Trucking, is that these women, they're gonna leave out of here with action items. And hey, guess what? They're probably gonna accomplish them.
Sure.
When are we, the men of trucking, when are we, that are involved with this as well, when are we going to do the same to set aside the guy rules, right? That say, I can't tell on Josh. I mean, there's some rule, I remember it back in 8th grade that says I can't tell on my buddy.
That's my buddy.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. I didn't
step
see
it up as men and do the right thing to take care of people, our industry.
I think everybody has their own regimen daily, right? We're all routine driven, I think, in some way, right? And what that tells me is a lot of people are just scared of change, right? But that's what this industry is. It's changing every single day. We have to change with it. But a famous hip hop R&B artist said one time, so I'm going to lay this quote out here for you though. We can't change the world until we change ourselves. And I think about that all the time because if we want to change this industry, it can change the world, but we have to start by looking in the mirror.
Man in the mirror.
That's a
There
hip
you
hop
go.
artist.
That's another one.
That's another hip hop artist
Biggie Smalls and now Tupac.
from the 80s.
I like it.
All right, hey, listen, we got to get out of here. Before we leave, though, I need each of you to look at that sign, read those words up there. You don't have to say BCB Live Interview, everything underneath it, and it ends with that part in the orange there. So who's first? Go
Talk
ahead.
to the camera
Or
to the
just
side?
read
You know
it.
what? However you can do it.
Just read it.
Show off.
My name is Destin Smitth, and I'm with Total Transportation. And you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Bam. All right, come on.
Come on, Josh, let's see.
My name is Josh Rule. I'm with Total Transportation, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right, everybody, we'll be back with more BCB Live in just a few minutes. Thank you for watching.